Namo Buddhaya. You know what? Today we are going to have a storm to our monastery, right? It's a big storm incoming. And the sky is getting gloomy and gloomy little by little. But you know what? Few hours ago, the whole monastery was shining and it was bathed with sunlight, right? So the weather changes so rapidly, the nature changes so rapidly. So as our life. In life, some days we have storms, right? Sometimes we are very happy. Sometimes we celebrate our life like shiny days, right? Like sunny days. But sometimes it becomes gloomy. All of a sudden it becomes gloomy. It becomes so moody, right? So we feel down, we feel terrible, like we feel depressed, right? And for some days, there's nothing special, like the empty sky, right? So this is life. It always changes, okay? So today, I'm going to talk about this one habit that we all have been through and that can affect us in many ways in our life, and that is the habit of overthinking, right? You know, we all have been through that situation that we have overanalyzed situations and we have expected worst case scenarios, and we have kept on thinking about certain things, what will happen in the future, what has happened in the past. That is very painful, and it steals our peacefulness in our life. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you few tips that can manage the habit of overthinking and to stop the habit of overthinking. So let's dive into the video. So the first thing that we have to know before doing any kind of thing is to identify what triggers you, what makes you overthink, right? Because without identifying and without knowing what makes you overthink, you cannot deal with it, you cannot manage it, right? So for people, it may be different ways of triggers. Sometimes people have some fears about talking with other people, right? People have fears about like traveling alone, right? Sometimes people have a fear about what other people think of me, okay? So it is different from one person to another. So the first thing is to identify what makes you overthink, what triggers you. Once you know it, write it down on a paper, okay? This is what makes me overthink. This is what making me troubles, okay? That is the first step, identifying what triggers you to overthink. And then the next step, the second step, is to be mindful about that trigger and that emotion, okay? Because once you identify your trigger, right, what makes you overthink, you can be mindful about it, you can identify it. Once those thoughts comes to your mind, like maybe a fear, maybe like a worry, maybe like a sadness, when it comes to your mind, just if you practice this mindfulness, you can catch that thought, you can identify that thought. Now I'm going to worry, now I'm worrying, right? Now I have this fear in my mind. Because when you become mindful, you understand about it and you know about it, you become aware of it. Then you will have the power to control it, right? Always remember, you cannot control anything that you don't know about and you're not aware about, right? So the second thing is to be aware and to be mindful about your thought. This is one thing that stuck in my mind for a long time, that a thought is just a thought until we give the power to control it ourselves. Okay, so what we have to know, understand the thought as just a thought, right? Don't give the power to control it, right? Don't judge the thought, don't try to stop the thought, right? Just identify it as just a simple thought, as any other thought. Okay, that is the second step. And the third step, you can challenge yourself. You can challenge your mind. Ask from your mind. Whenever you catch yourself overthinking, ask from your mind, is this real? Am I worrying about a real thing or a realistic thing? Is that going to happen in reality? So when you think about that, you will come across these conclusions. No, it's not going to happen. Why am I worrying about it? Right? Why am I thinking about it? I don't want to do that, right? It will steal my peacefulness. Okay? So when you think like that, you know what is going inside your mind. So the whole point and the whole secret about stopping this overthinking pattern is to know what is going inside your mind. Okay? That is one thing that you can do to challenge your thoughts. And then the next step is to take action. There is no any other remedy for all these problems, all these mental restrictions that you have in your mind other than taking actions. Okay? I don't suggest you to take big actions. What you have to do is to take small step, to do little things that you feel like a fear and a worry about things. Okay, just go for it and take action. If you have a fear of talking with a person, just for a little time go and talk with him. Plan it and go and talk with him. If you have a fear of traveling alone, just try it a little bit. Okay, it will make you more confident about it. So the fourth step is to take action. Okay, and then the final step, if you feel like your overthinking pattern, your habit is troubling you and it is restricting you and it is holding you back from doing great things and becoming great, then you have to seek for help. Right? Remember, you don't have to travel this journey alone. You have to seek for the help from trusted people. Maybe your trusted friend, it may be one of your family friends, maybe one of your relations, maybe your parents, maybe a counselor. Seek for help, right? Don't be shy and don't be afraid to ask for help and to reveal what is going inside your mind. When you reveal yourself and when you seek for the help, always there are people who can help you. Okay, so you are not alone in this world. Even 73%, you know that 73% of the young people in the age range of 25 to 35 suffer from chronic overthinking. So you are not alone in this world. Okay, so what we have to do is to first thing to identify what triggers you, second thing to be mindful, and then to challenge your thoughts and take action. And if all those things does not work, seek for the help, and always the help will be given to you. So these are the few things and the little things that you can practice in your life to overcome the pattern and the habit of overthinking. So I wish all the best in your journey of overcoming the overthinking patterns and living a life more productive and more happy. Namo Buddhaya. Still, I can remember this incident. When I was little, when I was at school, one of my teachers came to our noisy classroom and she asked from us, "Do you know why you have given 2 ears and 1 mouth?" Then she said, "The reason why we have given 2 ears and 1 mouth is to talk less and to listen more." Ladies and gentlemen, when we deal with people in our relationship life, in your family life, in your workspace, if you have this quality of active listening, that can help you in many ways. This quality can help you in many ways. Okay? Now, so many people come to our temple and they talk with the monks with their problems and about their family problems, the problems in the workspace. And there's one thing that they all say, and that is, they say, they are not listening to me. They are not willing to pay attention to me. They cannot understand me. That is one thing that they say. So If you have the art of active listening, if you practice the art of active listening, you will be liked by many people, right? People always like to talk with someone who is paying more attention to them, right? If you consider about the Buddha, Buddha was a great listener. At one time, one man comes up to the Buddha and he starts insulting him, right? He starts blaming him. All through that incident, the only thing that Buddha did was he listened to that person, right? He paid a good attention to that person. And in another time, one lady comes with her son died on her hand, and she was wailing and she was lamenting in front of the Buddha. And the only thing that he did was, the Buddha did was, he paid attention to that lady's suffering, right? He listened to that lady's suffering. So if you can practice this art of active listening, if you can listen more and talk less, people will start to like you. Remember that. For an example, if you come up to me, right? If you wanted to talk about a problem that you are having in your life, and from the beginning of the conversation, if I started to give you instructions and give you the advice and my opinions about that problem, what would you feel? You will start to think like, this monk cannot understand me. He's not willing to pay attention to me. He's not willing to listen to me. So practice this art of active listening. So how can we practice the listening? Well, the Buddha said that all the words that we speak from our mouth is pre-processed in our mind. That means we think first all these words and then we put it into our mouth and we speak. So if we can be mindful about what we think, what is going on in our mind, then it is very easy to control what you speak. And then it is very easy to know when to speak and when not to speak. So this practice is called, being mindful about the thoughts is called Chittanupassana in Buddhism, right? For that, the only thing that we have to do is like just sit in a quiet place and just watch our thoughts, what comes to our mind. We don't want to react with that thought. We don't want to chase behind that thought. Just identify the thought as just a thought. That is one practice that you can practice to be a good listener. And also, there's another way to practice this listening ability is to engage in conversations and try to listen more to that person. So in the next conversation that you're having, try this out. Go to someone, and if they wanted to talk with you, just from the beginning of the conversation, tell it to yourself that I'm going to listen to this person more. I'm going to pay attention to this person more. That is one way of paying and showing you love and affection to the person that is in front of you, right? That is why lending a good ear and listening to someone and sharing their suffering or problems with them is one way of showing your compassion and love towards them. Okay, so in the next conversation, when you go through that, just listen more to them. Let them put out what is in their mind. And when they go silent, and then you have to ask some more questions. Tell me, how did you do that, right? How it happened, right? Tell me more about the details that happened. Then they will be more interested in talking with you, and they will start to like you and love you. When you practice this, then you will get used to this active listening, okay? And also remember, do not listen to someone just to reply to them or just to give your opinion to them. Always listen to people to understand about their situation, to understand who the person behind these words, and to understand the intention behind these words. When you do that, then you will become an active and a good listener, and then you will be liked by many people. So that is all about the active listening. Be mindful about your thoughts and listen more than you talk. Keep that in your mind. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to introduce you to the most famous Buddhist text in this world. Now, if you are new to Buddhism and if you'd like to learn more about Buddhism, this is one of the best books that you can read. So, the book's name is Dhammapada. Now, what is Dhammapada? Dhammapada is a set of verses that was originally preached by the Buddha himself, and this Dhammapada contains 423 verses in it, and these 423 verses are divided into 26 chapters. So why Dhammapada is important? You know, for Hindus we have Gita, and in Christianity we have Bible, and in Islam we have Quran. Same like that, to the Buddhist world we have Dhammapada. Now, Dhammapada is not the only text that we have to learn Buddhism. There are many texts, but this is called as the Handbook of Buddhists. Why it is called as Handbook of Buddhists? If you went through 2-3 random pages and if you read on 2-3 verses, you can learn many life advices. You can learn many Dhamma facts about life. So that is why it is called the Handbook of Buddhists. So that is why it is widely used, and this is the most famous Buddhist text in this world. So as an example, if you turn to a random page and if you read a verse, you can find something very valuable. Let's go for that. So in 236th verse, the Buddha says, "Make an island for yourself. Strive hard and become wise. Get rid of impurities and cleanse of stain. You shall enter the celestial abode of the noble ones." It goes like that. So if you turn to another random page and if you read a verse, it goes like this. "The good shine even more afar, like the Himalayan mountain, but the wicked are unseen, like the arrows shot in the night." So if you turn to random pages and if you read, you can gain many life advices and many valuable Dhamma facts. So that is why we have to use this Dhammapada. If you are interested in using this Dhammapada, I will link down some links below that you can find Dhammapada and read it online also. And also there are some links that you can download the PDF file links down below. So this is the importance of Dhammapada, and that is why it is known as the most famous Buddhist books in this world. So that is the end of this little introduction video. So I hope you found something very valuable to your life. So practice Dhamma and practice good deeds. So I wish you all, may all of you be well and happy forever. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. In today's video, let's talk about how to control our negative emotions and how to control our mind. Well, the nature of our mind is it always likes to wander in negative emotions and negative thoughts. Negative thoughts like anger, desire or lust, or then jealousy, maybe resentment. These are the negative thoughts that our mind likes to wander in. So how can we control it? Well, our great teacher Supreme Buddha introduced us a gradual training where you can practice this controlling of negative emotions or negative thoughts in your mind. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce them to you. So first and foremost, before getting into these steps, there is one thing that you have to practice, and there is one thing that you have to master, and that is awareness. If you are not aware of what you're thinking, if you are not mindful about what you're thinking, then you cannot control it. So you have to totally understand, and you have to totally be aware of what you're thinking. Okay? So whenever you become aware of what you're thinking, then you will have that power to control it. So here comes the first step. Buddha says, whenever you become aware of your mind is wandering in negative thoughts like anger or lustful thoughts or resentment or jealousy, the first thing is to shift your thought pattern to something wholesome. There are some wholesome thoughts in your mind which makes you peaceful. Maybe like thinking of something that you have done in the past, like maybe you helped someone. Whenever you think that thought, your mind becomes happy and peaceful. So what you're going to do is, whenever you become aware of your negative thoughts, we're going to shift our thought pattern to something that is wholesome, something that makes us peaceful. So that is the first thing that Buddha says. Shift your thoughts to wholesome thoughts. If that first step did not work out, then what you have to do, go for the next step. What is that? Buddha says, think about the disadvantages of thinking negative emotions, right? If you are constantly having angry thoughts, then you have to think, these thoughts are hurting myself and others. If I take actions according to these thoughts, it will hurt myself and the others. Remember, it may be a little thought of anger, but if it grow up, what will happen? It will be destructive. So what do you have to do? Think about the drawbacks or disadvantages of thinking these negative thoughts. Then, whenever you see these disadvantages, your mind will tend to stay away from these negative thoughts. Most of the time, we are not aware of these disadvantages. Okay? So what do you have to do? Think, if I keep on thinking these negative thoughts, it is not going to help me. It will disrupt my peacefulness. Right? That is the second step. Then as the third step, Buddha says, pay no mind, pay no attention. If the second step did not work out, go for the third step, to not to pay any attention to that thought, right? See, whenever we give so much attention to something, maybe a thought, it grows again and again, it grows more, right? For an example, if you became angry with someone, and if you keep thinking about him again and again and becoming angry, that anger will grow more and more. So what do you have to do? We have to let the thought be a thought without paying much attention, right? When you just stay away from giving attention, then it will fade away from your mind. It's something like this. Have you seen little babies, when they fall down, they start to cry, right? If the parent or the mother or father see that it is not a big deal of falling, if mother or father did not give any attention to that baby, what does he do? He just don't care about that. He will stop crying. Same thing goes with our mind. If we did not pay any attention to that thought, right? If we did not care about that thought and just let it go and let it pass away from our mind, then it will fade away. That is one way of doing that. If the third step did not work for you, then the Buddha says, go for the fourth step, to relax your thought process, right? Now remember, when you think negative thoughts, your mind becomes so much busy, so much rough and distracted. So what you're going to do is, you're thinking, why am I thinking these distractive thoughts, these negative thoughts that are making me so much busy and making me distracted, right? So what you're going to do is, you're relaxing your thought process to something very soft and subtle. Maybe like loving kindness, maybe like compassion, right? Maybe like gratefulness. When you think those thoughts, When you think more positive thoughts, your mind or your thought process becomes so much relaxed. And then if the fourth step did not work for you, then it comes the final step. This is something that we have to do with a great care. I do not recommend for everyone to do this. This should be done with a great experience and a good practice, right? And that is to crush your thought with awareness, right? You have to be totally aware of your thinking pattern and have a good determination to your mind that I'm not going to think these negative thoughts, right? But this should not be done by everyone, right? Some may be not good at this, right? If you keep on becoming aware and if you keep on forcing this mind, it will grow more and more these negative thoughts. So if all those 4 steps did not work for you, then you have to go for the final step, right? So it is much better to practice these 4 thoughts before doing the final one. Okay, so practice these things. When you practice, you will feel and you will understand that your negative emotions are fading away little by little. Remember, this is not going to happen overnight. It will take a long time to do this, but you have to keep on practicing. Keep on doing it. Make it a habit, and then you will become a master of it. So practice this practice and make your mind a place where free from negative thoughts. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome everyone to another video. So today, let's talk about loneliness and how we can face this situation. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about 2 things. And the first one is the loneliness, and the second one is the solitude, which is more reframed version of being alone. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about loneliness. When we are around people, when we are living with people, and when we are in relationships with people, normally we feel happy. We feel that we are content, right? And we feel this joyfulness within ourselves. But when they are not around us, or when they leave us, sometimes when we have to depart from them, normally we feel depressed, sad, or lonely, or we feel like no one cares about us. So this is the feeling of loneliness. If we analyze this emotion of loneliness, we can find that we have become happy because of the people around us, because of their reaction, because of their way of behavior. That was the reason that we became happy. Simply it means that we have given the key of our own happiness to other people. So when they leave our life, sometimes when they depart from ourselves, sometimes when they fade away from our life, what happens to us is we become unhappy, we become sad, we become depressed, and we feel like no one is caring for us. There is no one to help for me. That is what we are thinking. So how we can deal with this? Well, that is where we come to the topic of solitude. Supreme Buddha advised the monks to practice this practice of being solitude. So what do you mean by solitude? So first of all, let's compare the loneliness to the solitude. Then you can take some idea about that. In loneliness, when you're lonely, you're thinking for someone to come to your life and make you happy. That means you're depending on others. Your happiness depends on others. But in solitude, you try to find the happiness within yourself. When you find the happiness inside yourself, you don't want to depend on another person. You don't want to depend on second person. You can find your happiness within yourself. And that is what the practice of solitude gives us. So when you're being solitude or simply when you are being alone. Now, there are the people talk about this like the loneliness and being alone is two different things, right? So when you're being alone or when you're being in solitude, you're happy. You're not finding the happiness from these outer sources. You find the happiness within yourself. So Buddha teaches us to look at this loneliness not as something to be sad, not as something negative. Buddha teaches us to look at this loneliness something that is beneficial for you, something that is positive. So how we can use this loneliness, or how we can reframe this loneliness to be positive? Well, if you think about whenever you are being alone, you have more time for yourself, right? You have a bigger freedom for yourself. You can think about yourself. You can reflect more about yourself, and you can practice meditations, or you can think about your health and do some practices about that. You can do some self-development techniques, so you can improve yourself. So when you use that time, when you use that loneliness for good things, then you become more positive about that. Then you will never feel these sad or depressing states. So let me tell you a little story how Buddha felt lonely at one time. Actually, this incident happened to the Buddha before he became enlightened. We call him the Bodhisattva. When he was Bodhisattva, he was practicing this self-mortification for 6 years. He gave lots of hardships to this body. He did some extreme meditations in the jungle. So there were 5 monks who were helping the Bodhisattva. So he practiced these self-mortification meditations for 6 years, and he mastered that. Finally, he came to the conclusion of that I cannot achieve this enlightenment by self-mortificating or by giving this extreme hardship to this body. So he decided to find this middle way. So what he did was, first of all, he took his bowl and he went to the village and he got some foods to eat. Because he thought that to do the meditations, I need to have this physical energy. But those 5 monks who were helping to Bodhisattva, who were expecting the enlightenment from the Bodhisattva through this self-mortification, was so confused because they saw that the Bodhisattva is having these foods. Then those 5 monks thought, like, now he's not going to achieve this enlightenment. The enlightenment can only be achieved by this self-mortification. So they never believed on the Bodhisattva. So what they did was, they left the Bodhisattva. Now our Maha Bodhisattva was all alone in the middle of the jungle. There was no one to help him. There was no one to care about him. No one knew about him. He was all alone. But he didn't think about that loneliness as something depressed or something negative. So he thought, now I have more time for myself. I can do my meditations freely. There was no one to think about me. So I must use this time for my self-development. That is what Maha Bodhisattva thought. So that is the way that we also should think about this loneliness. If you are feeling lonely, if you are having some kind of a loneliness situations in your life, use that time, use that valuable time to create a better life for yourself, because you have more time. You can do meditations. You can stick into a daily routine of the self-development. You can do meditations, you can do workouts, you can walk for some time, and you can be with this nature, read a book, or learn something new, practice meditations, do exercises. These things can be done when you are all alone. So rather than feeling depressed about the situations that you are in, why can't we become more happy about the time that we are spending alone, right? So practice this, okay? So if people comes to your life, let them come. If people walks away from your life, let them walk away. But you have to be by yourself. You have to think about yourself. That is what you have to think, and that is what you have to do in this valuable time. So I think you got some idea about the loneliness and being in the solitude. So practice the solitude and make your life more better. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome everyone to another video. So today, let's talk about anxiety and how a Buddhist practice can help you to deal with it. Okay, first of all, let's take a look at what anxiety is. Anxiety is a common human emotion that we feel when our lives are in danger or when our lives are in threatening situations. We feel that fear and worry. So that is a common, normal human nature. But for some people, they feel this fear and worry when there is no such danger in the reality, when there is no such threatening situation in the real world. But they still start to worry about it, or they still start to fear about it. So that is where we can do something about it. Most of the time, people, they hide their anxietic emotions. These anxious emotions, they try to hide them. They laugh, they smile, they seem to be good looking, but inside their head, there are many things going on. It's like the monkeys jumping here and there. They are distracted and they have that constant fear and worry inside them, right? It's very heavy. So what can we do to ease up these things, and how we can deal with these things? Well, there are certain practices that we can practice according to the Buddhist way to help you to deal with these anxiety thoughts. First of all, the first step is to acknowledge the anxiety. Because our great teacher Supreme Buddha told that every one of us, every living being, is subjected to suffering. Buddha said, where there is birth, there is suffering. So no matter how rich we are, no matter how talented you are, no matter what social state that you are living, fear, worry, suffering is the common ground for all of us. So first of all, we have to acknowledge that my mind has these anxious thoughts. Because most of the time, when people become anxious, when they have these panic attacks and when they have these anxiety thoughts, what they do is they try to hate that emotion. They try to fight with that emotion. The more you fight with that emotion, the more you become angry about that emotion, the more you consider about that emotion as a monster, it will take control over your life. So what you have to do? First of all, you have to think, this is a common human response, or this is a common human nature, so I must acknowledge it. That is the first step, right? Because you can remember the Buddha's word, all beings are subjected to suffering without any exception. The first step. Then the second step. This is one of the most wonderful practices in Buddhism. That is the mindfulness. And you know that Buddhism has a great background of mindfulness. So our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us there are 4 grounds of mindfulness. This is taught in Satipatthana Sutta. So the first one is being mindful about your body. The second one is being mindful about your feelings. The third one is being mindful about your mind. And the fourth one is being mindful about the mental states. So we can do any kind of mindfulness practices in here, but there's an important practice that Buddha mentioned, and that is being mindful about your mind. That is called Chittanupassana. Simply, the Buddha teaches us you have to observe your thoughts, right? So when you observe your thoughts and when you become mindful about, when you become aware of your thoughts, what happens to you? It creates this little space between you and your thoughts. It separates you from your thoughts, because most of the time when we feel fear, when we worry about the things, and most of the times when we are living our life, we think that the thoughts are ourself. That means when you feel angry, you think, I am the anger. I am fear. I am the worry. I am the anxiety. But you're not the anxiety. And it reveals you that your thoughts are anxiety and your thoughts are in fear. It creates this little space between you and your thoughts. It's like let me give an example. It's like the sky, right? Sky is there, and consider the sky as you, the blue color one. And these clouds come into the sky. They are like your thoughts, right? So what is the nature of a cloud? It comes and it goes. Sometimes gloomy, sometimes shiny, sometimes scattered. It takes different shapes and different moods. But still, there is sky. It is not changed. So it gives you this feeling, when you do this Chittanupassana, being mindful about your mind, your thoughts, what happens to you is you're watching your thoughts without judging, without comparing yourself with that, and without being worrying. You just watch your thoughts. When you separate your mind, yourself from your thoughts become an outside object. It's like you're taking something to your hand and you're just observing it. Then what happens to you? Then you can take your time to think, oh, what is this thought? Then you can reveal and you can identify, my mind is now in anxiety mode. My thoughts are anxiety. My thoughts are anxious. So when you identify your thoughts, that gives you that understanding that I am not anxious. It's only my thoughts are anxious. And then you have to use your wisdom to think, what is the nature of this thought? What is the nature of this mental emotion? This is impermanent. This comes and this goes away. So it gives you this feeling of impermanence, right? So that is what you have to think. And also, you can analyze this thought. When you become anxious, if you are constantly becoming mindful about, now remember, when I say these things, it may seem like, oh, it is easy for you to say like that, but when we become anxious, it is very hard to do that. Yes, it's very hard to do that. Remember, every good thing that brings the happiness to your life is a little bit challenging. You have to take time. You have to practice it, right? You have to go through some tough situations when you're doing it. But if you're constantly doing it, if you are constantly practicing it, it gives you the results. So what do you have to do? Just analyze your thought. My thought is in anxious mode. So what gave me this anxiety? Always remember, your anxiety is always triggered by an emotion, a delusional emotion. So you can analyze the thought. what made me anxious? What made me fear? Then you can go deep into it, and then you can find, when you're not judging it, you can find, this is not something to be fear of. This is not something to be worried about. Then you can come back and think, okay, this is just an emotion. This is just a thought. So let go. I will let go of it. That is what gives you this becoming mindfulness. And it gives you, and it brings you to this present moment. Right? When you're analyzing your mind and when you're constantly becoming aware of your thoughts, you come to this present moment, which is very peaceful. Right? When you're thinking about the future, your mind is in anxious mode. Right? Most of the time, when the anxiety kicks in, what happens to you? Your mind jumps to the future. What will happen in the next time? What will happen in the future? What will happen to me? That's what you're thinking. That means your mind is in the future, right? But when you become mindful, your mind comes to this present moment, which is peaceful, which is cool and tranquilizing. You can be here right now, right here, and become more peaceful. That will help you immensely. So practice mindfulness little by little. This is a simple trick that you can do. Just ask from yourself, what am I thinking now? When the fear kicks in, when the fear or the worry comes in, when you're becoming anxious, just remember to yourself to ask from your mind, what am I thinking now? What are my thoughts? Then you can identify your thoughts, right? So that is the mindfulness practice. And then the last part, show some compassion to yourself. Don't expect 100% perfection from yourself. Remember, perfection is not the success, right? People have this delusional idea to be perfect always. Don't think about it. No one can be perfect like that. Just do your best, right? That is what you can do. So I hope you got some light on this topic. So I wish you all, may all of you have a peaceful life, a healthy life, and may all of you be able to live happy forever. Namo Buddhaya. One of our viewers have asked from us that how can I handle my sorrow of losing a loved one? And how can I handle the heartbreak, the sorrow of heartbreak? Well, first of all, I must say, a heartbreak or losing a loved one is one of the most hardest experiences that a human can undergo, right? Because we have that mental bond and mental attachment within people. When that mental attachment is broken, we start to suffer, we start to cry, and we start to wail. So there are some ways that you can get over this sorrow. So this whole video is dedicated for all the people out there who are going through heartbreaks and who are experiencing tough times in their life. So this video will help you to have some light on your way. So there are some ways and things that we can do to heal ourselves. But remember, this healing process takes time. It's like a wound, right? Wound is not healed in a day or 2 days or 3 days. It takes time, right? So we have to be in a constant process of healing that wound. So same goes with a heartbreak. So what we can do to heal our heart from a heartbreak. Number one, if you need to cry, it's okay to cry. Remember that, right? There are some people who are going through heartbreaks and they don't like to cry. They pretend to be they're okay, right? They pretend to the world that they are okay and they have got over the problem. They smile, but not inside. Remember, if you need to cry, it's okay to cry, right? Go to a private place or go to your room and cry. It's okay, because crying is one of the most natural way of removing the pressure that is building up inside your mind and inside your heart. So it's okay to cry, especially for men, because men always try to hide their tears and they pretend to be there okay. But remember, men are also allowed to cry. Okay? So if you need to cry and if you need to remove and release that pressure that is building inside, then it's not a problem of shedding a tear. Number 2, you can find a person who you can share your pain and who you can share the sorrow and the pressure that is building inside you, right? Well, you need to be wise when you choose this person. Why? Because there are some people out there who give hate comments and hateful comments to the person who cheated you, right? When they give those hate comments and when they try to build up the hate within you, right, it is not good for you. It's not good for your mental health and it's not good for your physical health either. So what you have to do, choose the person wisely and share your pain with him. Find a person who can share that sorrow, right? That person can be your mother, your father, maybe one of your friends, maybe one of your teachers or mentors, whoever it is. Find a person who keep listening to you without saying anything, without giving many advice to you. Find a person who keeps listening to you, right? Find a person who you can share your pain that is building inside. That is the second step. And number 3, this is the most important thing that you need to practice. And this is one of the things that many people who are in relationships doesn't like to think about. And what is that? Our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, said, Sabbehi me piyehi manapehi nana bhavo vina bhavoti abhinnang paccavekitappa. What does that mean? Supreme Buddha said, always reflect and recollect in your mind that one day I have to be parted and separated from all the dear and agreeable people in my life. Isn't that the truth? Yes, it is. That is the truth. But we don't like to think about that when people are in relationships. They will think it will ruin their relationship. It will ruin the bond between people. But in reality, it is not. Remember, when you think that I have to be separated, one day I have to be separated from this person that is sitting in front of me, the person who I love most. One day I have to be separated from this person, at least at the death. So I have a little time to love this person, give my love, my kindness, my attention, my compassion to this person. So I must give this fullest love to this person. Remember, true love will never break your heart. That's amazing, isn't it? True love, when you love someone truly, if that person leaves you, you will never be heartbroken. But if you become attached to that person, if you are mentally too much attached to that person, and that attachment is the thing that breaks your heart. That is why Buddha said attachment brings the suffering to your life. So remember, true love will never break your heart, but the attachment does, right? So if you are curious about what is true love and what is attachment, there's another video that has done by us about explaining the true love, so you can check out that. So remember, when you truly love someone, your heart will never be broken, right? So what you have to think is, always, whenever you are possible, you need to think, I have to be separated from these people around me, right? So when you think that, your mind is getting prepared to face that situation, right? You can imagine, how I'm going to recover myself if this person left me. How I'm going to do that, right? Then if your mind is pre-prepared for that situation, when you're going through such a situation in reality, you will start to think, this is what I was thinking about, right? So when your mind is get prepared to face that reality in the life, right? You can be more confident, you can be more strong when you face that situation in real life. So that is the thing that you have to always think about that. And also, remember, I told you, heartbreak is like a wound. Remember, if you need to heal this wound, you need to decrease the amount of touching it, right? Now, I don't say that you need to forget the person, right? You cannot forget the person, but you can reduce the amount of attention for those past thoughts. Because when you're alone, right, after a heartbreak, after a breakup, when you're alone, right, you're thinking about the moments and the things that happened in the past. The more you think about those things, the more you will be frustrated and the more you will be sad. So what you have to do, reduce the amount of attention that you are giving to that kind of thoughts, right? So you can do that, but you cannot forget that from time to time, those thoughts will haunt your mind. But when you're not giving much more attention, when you're not giving much attention to those kind of thoughts constantly, and with the time, it will fade away, right? So you don't try to stop the thoughts, but let the thoughts to fade away from your life. And keep this in your mind. Whatever the terrible situation that you are going through in your life, it is going to be changed one day. Because none of our life experiences are permanent, right? Every experience, every tough situation, every happy time, and every experience that we face in our own life are impermanent. They will change with the time. So remember, you're going to heal one day. You're going to be okay one day, right? So have some experience with these tough situations in our life. Remember, these experiences make our life more and more strong. So these are 5 things that you can do to heal your broken heart, right? So I hope you got some ideas to how to heal your broken heart. And most importantly, don't forget to remember what our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught. One day, we all have to be separated from every loving person around us. So we have a short time in this life. So we have to give our fullest love to these people around us and expect nothing from this world, because our expectations will make us suffering. So remember that. And I'm going to end this video with a nice quote, and that is, when you are heartbroken, cry, forgive, learn from your experiences, and let your tears water the seeds of your future happiness. Namo Buddhaya. First of all, remember, criticism, bullies, adversities, these are common experiences for all the humans, right? Our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us, Natti loke anindito. There's no one that has not been criticized by people. Remember, whatever you do, whatever you say, people always criticize you? Because people always see you what they want to see, not the exact you. So, criticism and bullies are common experiences. But when we are going through such experiences, we feel sad. That is called the mental sorrow, mental sadness. Due to this mental sadness, we fail and we fall down either physically also. So, what we should practice and what we should do when someone criticizes us, when someone blames us. There's a discourse that was given by our great Arahant Sariputta. And in that discourse, it says, when someone complains you, when someone bullies you, or when someone blames you, you need to have two things in your heart or in your mind to face it successfully. So what are these two things? Number one, Arahant Sariputta said, you should be truthful. So what is truthfulness? Truthfulness is when someone complains you, or when someone complains you about a mistake that has done by yourself, then you have to be truthful. You have to accept your mistake because you have done it, right? If someone asks you that, have you done this mistake? Then if you have done it, really, you have to say yes. But most of the time, when we do mistakes, we try to hide them, right? We try to hide them by telling lies. Remember, when you tell lies, you have to remember everything, every lie that you have said, because you need to protect that lie. But if you said the truth, if you admit your fault, then you don't want to remember anything, right? Remember, mistakes can happen from anyone. We are not perfect creatures, right? We all have defilements, we all have problems, we all have difficulties, we all make mistakes. So, there's nothing to be ashamed of making mistakes. Therefore, what you should do when someone complains you, when someone blames you, or when someone accuses you for a mistake that has done by you, just admit it. Be humble, right? When you admit your fault, you win the trust of people. But if you did not admit your fault, what will happen? They will never trust you, right? So what you have to do, if you have done a mistake, just admit it. Say the truth. I have done it and I'm not going to do it again. I will correct my mistakes. That is what you have to do. So the first thing that you should have in your heart when you face complaints, when you face criticisms, what you have to do, be truthful. And also, if someone complains you for a mistake that you haven't done, let's say you didn't do anything of that mistake, you know nothing about that, but still people will complain you because of the misunderstandings. So in that case, how you should face that? In that case also, you should be truthful. Directly, you can say, I haven't done this mistake. But if they are not going to believe it, or if they are not going to understand it, you don't want to prove them I'm correct again and again. Just stay calm and just smile, right? And stay cool. That is what you have to do. So in that case also, you have to be truthful. Number two, Arahant Sariputta said, you need to practice the love and the kindness and non-hatredness in your mind. You don't want to hate people when they are criticizing you, because sometimes they don't know about our story. Sometimes they don't know about our mind, what are the difficulties of us. Still they complain us. So when someone complains you for a mistake that has done by yourself, that means if you own that mistake, then you don't want to be angry with them because you have done the mistake. So what you have to do, just simply admit it. When you admit the fault, you are not providing any fuel to his anger, to other people's anger, right? For an example, if a person, right, if the boss of your company came to you, and if he started complaining, if you admit your fault, then it's okay, right? He will blame for some time, but he no longer can take it for a long time. Just have the non-hatredness inside your heart. Just smile to them. And also, if they accuse you for a false accusation, don't hate them back. You need to forgive them because you haven't done any mistake. The mistake has happened by them, right? So if anyone has done a mistake to you, then what you have to do? You need to have that ability to forgive them. Remember, when you forgive people, you become free, right? Your heart becomes free. So, you need to forgive people to free your heart because of your peacefulness, not because that others deserve your forgiveness. So what you have to do, forgive people. They don't know our story. They don't know anything about us. So that is how you face the criticisms. So practice the truthfulness and also non-hatredness or the loving kindness when you face the criticisms and bullies in this world. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. So today we are going to talk about how to have a better relationship with people. Well, to start a relationship is very easy. Anyone can do that. But to maintain that relationship to a long time and to have a healthy relationship is a bit of a roller coaster ride. So, our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, taught us there are few things that you need to practice in your life to strengthen and make your relationship so much better. So there are 4 things. These are called Sanghavattu. They are the factors that strengthen our relationship with people. So when we are talking about relationships, our great teacher Supreme Buddha doesn't mention a specific kind of relationship, but he describes these qualities affects all kind of relationship. No matter who the person who you are relating to, if you practice these qualities, that relationship is going to be strong, healthy, and so much better. So what are these 4 kinds? Number 1, our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us, you need to be generous. You need to have the mind of giving. So what are the things that we can give to people? There are so many things. You can give materialistic things like clothes, money, jewelries, or gifts. So when you're giving these materialistic things, people become happy. So in a relationship, no matter who the person is, it may be your girlfriend or a boyfriend, husband or wife, or your parents, whoever the person is, you need to give something to them, right? You need to give gifts. Not only the gifts, but our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us, you need to give your love, your affection, your care, and your attention, right? Don't hold on to these things. You should be generous in giving these things. So the first thing that makes your relationship so much strong and so much better is being generous. Number 2, our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us, you need to speak kind words, pleasurable words. Everyone who lives on this earth likes to hear kind and pleasurable words. So what do you have to do? You need to speak kindly to the people you are relating to, right? Speak kindly to your mother, your father. Speak kindly to your husband or wife or your boyfriend or a girlfriend. So when you speak kind and nice words, their hearts become so much happy. So what you need to do, you need to speak kind and nice words. Be nice to them. Don't be rude to people. No one likes to be with rude and angry people. So what you have to do, speak kindly. And number 3, Supreme Buddha taught us, you need to have the quality of beneficent conduct. What do you mean by beneficent conduct? You should be willing to work for the betterment of the other person, right? So when someone sees someone is working for the good of that person, he becomes happy. That relationship will be strong and more healthy. So what do you have to do? You need to work for the betterment of other people. You need to help them by your actions, from your body. Do something that makes them happy, right? Do something that makes them feel happy and nice about you. So what do you have to do? You need to have the quality of beneficent conduct. And the final quality, this is one of the most important qualities that you need to have. You need to have the quality of impartiality. Simply, it means the equanimity. You need to maintain an equal mind in ups and downs of that person's life, right? So many people break their relationships and leave people when they are facing hard times. So what do you have to do? Be with them, help them, be by their side, and become a strength to that person when that person is down in that person's life, right? So if you can be with people and if you can maintain the same mind in ups and downs in other people's life, that relationship is going to be so much better and so much healthy. So these are the things that our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, taught us that makes our relationship, interpersonal relationships, so much better. So practice these things. And also remember, a healthy and a better relationship is about 2 things. Number 1, accepting the similarities of that person. And number 2, respecting the differences of that person. So make your relationships so much healthy and better with the teachings of Buddha. Namo Buddhaya.